Good morning. I am Dana J. Smithers, one of the Emotion Code Divas. I'm with my other Emotion Code Diva partner, Helena Jenikin, today, and our show is all about educating, inspiring, and we're always healing and releasing trapped emotions from a viewer. So we have a viewer, Elaine, has stepped up today to allow us to help release some weight for her and some cravings that she has around the holiday season. And I think this is such an important topic because even though we are emotion code practitioners, we are certified by Dr. Bradley Nelson. This is his book. You can buy his book. You can read through it. You can do your own emotion code. But as an emotion code practitioner, I'd say that Helene and I are just a little bit more adept at working with people, releasing the trapped emotions that they have. I'm also a certified law of attraction coach, a sacred gifts guide, as well as a Reiki practitioner, and I love working with animals. Okay, all right. So this is such a great topic because what is December 4th, 5th, something like that. I've already started into the shortbread.
Oh.
And I know I'm one of the people that likes Christmas cake, so I requested from my husband, please don't bring any home. Hello. That's all I'm going to say. All right, so let's move on with the show. That's a bit about me. It's going to be a fun show today. December is a fun month, lots of good energy going on, but gaining weight really can be an issue for some people. So even though I'm joking about it, I realize the seriousness of it. And I too have found myself needing emotion code sessions around this time of year. Helena, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I am Helena Jenikin. I'm a certified emotion code practitioner as well as a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I'm here today in my office in lovely Vancouver Island, and that's British Columbia, Canada. And I see clients here in my office, but I also see clients online, and I help them release excess weight, overcome fears and phobias, and stop smoking in that one hypnosis session. I'm known around town as the Stop Smoking Lady. And Dana, I just love the emotion code because I find it really helpful for when I'm working with my clients one-on-one, either just on the emotion code or adding it into my hypnosis sessions with my clients. And yeah.
Absolutely. And I know having all these other tools in our toolbox is so important to the work that we do, especially I'm not doing quite so much business coaching as I was doing, but when I was doing it and I came across the emotion code, it was such a relief for people to be able to, I could talk about the marketing, the business, the next step, get all the, I can do it. Next call. Okay. Why didn't you do it? Well, trapped emotions, right? So emotion code is good for so many things. Gaining weight, releasing weight, trapped emotions. We've done a lot of shows on grieving. We're going to be doing a special show on that as well. But, it can be for a lot of emotional things, but it can also be for chronic pain that you may have as well. Because as Dr. Brad says, what can be trapped can be the size of a lemon to a cantaloupe in our body. And if you think of that, if you get migraines, well, imagine this, throbbing on your head. Well, emotion code can release that. If you've got pain in a joint or a leg or back pain, oftentimes you just imagine that you've got a whole bunch of lemons in your body and they're putting a lot of pressure and becoming trapped, but they're actually emotions that are trapped, and those emotions are negative in your body, and that's what causes the pain. So whether it's mental, emotional, or physical, we help to do that. And we're going to go through some steps today, Helena, about how we do that. So let's go ahead and do that. We know we often have first-time viewers. Helena and I both have YouTube channels, so people go there to watch. So we just like to sort of go through the keys that Dr. Bradley Nelson uses and advises people to use. And then Helena will give the education piece on some tips on how to release weight, what goes on, how it works, those kinds of things. And I'm going to be doing the emotion code session on Elaine today, who is watching. So that's just great. Helena, let's get started.
Dana, today's first key to the emotion code process is permission. Can you tell me about permission?
I can indeed tell you about that. So in order to work on anyone, regardless of what healing modality Helena and I are using or anyone that's doing healing, we have to have permission of the person that we can do it, or animal in my case. Well, if I'm working on animal, I can't ask the animal's permission. And in fact, I know I've done some. I've had an animal in the room, sat down, ready to do a session, and this was a cat, and she just got up and left. I was like, okay, not interested in a session. So I didn't do that. But typically, if we're dealing with a human, or if we're dealing with children, then we will ask permission from the adult. And as much as sometimes Helene and I see situations where we'd really, really like to be able to help, it might be out in person, or it could be a Facebook post or something that we see that we know somebody needs help, but we always have to ask permission.
That's right. And our second key is proxy.
Right. So what a proxy is when the emotion code practitioner becomes and has permission to represent the person. So we're actually tapping into a person's subconscious when we do the emotion code. And when we do that, we're actually acting as the person. So we take on their emotions, but we only do it, we ask that we can be proxy when we're finished the session. We close it off by sort of unproxying ourselves. We're no longer taking their place in the session. And we can do that by phone. We can do it in person. We can do it through Blue Jeans. We can do it on Skype. I'm doing a lot on FaceTime and Facebook Messenger, that sort of thing.
Zoom for me is the new one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it. Yeah. So our next question for our client is, we're going to ask them the severity of their issue. We're going to rank it between 1 and 10. Dana, tell us more about that.
Yeah. So what we're asking the person that we're working with is, how much stress is this particular, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain or mental pain, causing you? And you may give us a number. You might say, oh, it's a 6 or 7. Occasionally I've had somebody say it's a 4. Well, Helena and I know from experience that we wouldn't be having a session if it was that low. So most people, it's between about a 7 to a 10 kind of thing. So we will ask the person, but then we will also tap in once we are their proxy, just to double check on what the subconscious is saying, because we're giving a severity number from our conscious mind.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And the next key to our process is we're going to be using a technique called muscle testing.
Exactly. And in Dr. Brad's book, he shows you lots of techniques for muscle testing. But what I have found for myself, I have an agreement with my subconscious that allows me to get yes or no answers. And those are the only kind of answers that we are asking for when we're doing muscle testing with the emotion code. So for me, I put my index and thumb together. Too much holiday cheer going on here. Index and thumb, and then I take my index finger and middle finger from the other hand, and that's a clear yes. When I ask the question, is there a trapped emotion that is preventing Elaine from releasing weight? And if I get a yes, and then if I ask another question and I get a no, that's a no. And Helena and I can do this pretty rapidly because we've done it for so long. And Helena, you have a little bit different technique for you.
I do. My agreement with my subconscious mind is when I link these two fingers together and interlock them, that is a yes. Fingers are locked tight together. And when I think of the word no, they just slip apart. Yes, no.
Exactly. All right, Helena, we're early into the show, but we got our London gals watching.
Yay!
Woohoo! Natasha, Paula, Samuel, thank you. Always glad to have you watching Rumford, Essex. And we'd like to get weather reports from the girls as well. So that's Natasha. And Sylvia Bellini is watching us today.
Sylvia.
So shout out to Helena. And as I said, Elaine is watching as well. So thanks so much. Share it. We're going to have a great show today. So what is next after that severity? Muscle testing. What are we testing for?
Actually, I surprised everybody. It's the emotion code. We're going to be testing for emotions on the emotion code. And this is the chart here, Dana.
Exactly. So what we're doing is we're going to ask, can I release a trapped emotion? Is it in column A or is it in column B? And if I get a column A, then I'm going to say, is it even? Is it odd? And then I'll just go down and then I'll just find a group of 5 emotions and I'll just check in with each one of those. And what I'm going to do is ask the question, is it, is it crying, discouragement, rejection, sadness, sorrow? And whatever I get from there, actually what I'm going to say, let's say it was sorrow, then I'm going to say, does this belong to, let's say, Elaine? And if I get a yes, then I ask, can I release this? And I get a yes, then I go ahead and what we're going to do next is we use a magnet.
Magnet.
Yeah, so our magnets are hematite, the ones that Helene and I are using, and very, very, very strong. And what we do with the magnet is once let's say that trapped emotion was sorrow. So we work with meridians. There's 12 meridians in our body. There's one big one called the governing meridian. There's lots of chakras. Most people know about 7, but there's actually way more emotion body points in our body, energy points that we work with. But with the emotion code, we work with the governing meridian. And what we're doing is we're actually demagnetizing that emotion. So let's say it is sorrow. It's Elaine's, I can release it. So I'm going to, from the top of my lip, if I was with the person, I would do it from their lip all the way down to the bottom of their spine. But since we're proxies and we're doing it this way, we just do 3 swipes to demagnetize just to the back of our neck there. If it's inherited, then we're going to do 10 swipes to just demagnetize that emotion. So that's what we do with the magnet. And
our final key to the
so
entire,
important.
very, very important to our process is hydrated practitioner.
Exactly. No, this is water, ladies and gentlemen. This is water. But yeah, give me a shout out if you like my mug. I love this. This is my favorite Christmas one.
It's so pretty.
I know. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I'm just all about holiday cheer today. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. So Helena, you are going to go ahead and what are you going to tell us?
Well, I'm gonna talk about some tips that people can use because it's the holiday season. A lot of people are going out to parties and holiday parties, and even New Year's is coming up. So some tips around that, how you can prepare yourself for when you go to the party, as well as I'm going to be talking a little bit about my virtual gastric band process that I use hypnotically. A lot of people have heard about the virtual gastric band or the gastric band surgery, but I'm going to talk about the virtual one that I can do. And most importantly, I'm going to be talking about the conscious and subconscious mind.
Excellent. All right. So you go ahead and do that, Helena. I'm just going to unplug and I'm going to get to work on Elaine. So Elaine has told me her age, which if I need to do, I can work with it. She's given us a 7 in terms of severity, so I'm going to check that. Her ideal weight would be to release 15 pounds. That's not what I'm going to work on right now, but she's got some food cravings, chocolates and sweets around this time of year. So I'm just going to check in and see if there's anything that I can release around fear of going through this holiday season and not overindulging or adding any more weight to what's already going on in her body right now. So I'm going to unplug and go ahead and do that.
Excellent, good. So I'd like to explain first of all about the mind and how the mind works. And if you can imagine an iceberg, and that represents our mind. So about 10% of the iceberg is above the water for everyone to see, and about 90% of the iceberg is below water. People don't see it. But we know it's there. So if you imagine the top part of the iceberg being about 10% of, we'll call it your conscious mind. It's the part of your mind that you're really aware of. It's your thinking mind. It's it's what you think is in charge. But actually, it's your subconscious mind that's in charge because that's 90%. And it's a super powerful computer. And it runs programs. And these programs have been installed probably, most likely, pretty sure when you were younger, when you were very influential or influenced by situations that are happening around you in your earlier part of your life, probably before the age of 10. That's when we start to make up ideas and beliefs and patterns and habits. That's a lot of times when our ethics and our morals are formed. And that runs the basis of our programming, our automatic behaviors. So you might be thinking, why do I eat when I'm stressed? Why do I feel like I need to go into the cupboard or the fridge and eat something when I'm not hungry? I just had a meal. I just had a very satisfying meal, but there's still something there. Well, it's running a program and it's your subconscious mind, and there's a little voice going, eat, 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 eat. You're going to put something in your mouth because you're probably trying to suppress something. Now, the first thing I'd like to ask my clients is, are you eating well? Are you eating protein-rich meals? Are you eating good fats? And that's really important because a lot of people are filling themselves up on carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are sugar. Sugars burn very quickly. When we're not active to burn those sugars that are coming in, those high calorie foods, those high carbohydrate foods, then our body starts to store that excess calories as excess inventory. Excess inventory showing up in our own bodies as fat. So the first thing I'd like to make sure is that people are releasing certain foods from their diet, which are things like sugary coffees, sugary beverages, and also excess bread and excess, things that even excess fruit. When we're satisfying our bodies with the good fats, olive oil and coconut oil and flaxseed oil, hemp seed oil even, and avocados, good fish, and different foods like that. Adding in proteins such as a good lean meat, eggs, could be even a little cottage cheese or a good yogurt without any sugar, uh, full fat sour cream and full fat butter. Good old butter. Those are fats that your body can use, digest, and they'll satiate you. So when that's working well, then the next thing is, of course, hydration. Hydration, a lot of times people get the idea that they're hungry, but they're actually thirsty. So go have that glass of water. I like to have water on my counter, kind of room temperature. I find it easier on my system to take in. But water, 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 very, very important. Now, I was going to give you a couple tips about when you go out to a party and you're going out somewhere. Well, I used to be a caterer, and imagine being a caterer and having all the lovely food that I'm bringing out for the parties and stuff, and how tempting that might have been to have a bite here and a bite there and eat as the food is going out. But what I always made sure I did was I ate before I left. So I always have a bit of a meal before I go to a party. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. People are going to be serving lovely food. But when I have had a protein-rich something before I go, I don't arrive really hungry. And when I don't arrive really hungry, I'm arriving to enjoy a little bit of this and a little bit of that, not a whole lot of that. So protein-rich meals. Have some fat. You can even, I find, have a cup of coffee. And I don't know if you've tried this before, but it's pretty darn tasty, is taking butter. I know it sounds so strange, but it's called a bullet coffee. You take a butter that's been grass-fed, good organic grass-fed butter, and you start with a teaspoon and move up to about a tablespoon, and you place it in your hot coffee, and you have one of those little whisk machines, like the little arrow, I think they're called, and they just blend up your coffee, froth it up. You can do a little bit of coconut oil in your coffee as well. You drink that, you're going to feel full. It's amazing. And that coconut oil or the good grass-fed butter will go to your brain, and it will satisfy your brain and actually help you, I find, think better, think more clearly. So before you go out, tip number one, have something in your system, some protein. Make sure that you're hydrated. And if you can, find out what food is going to be served at the party, at the function. And sometimes it's just appetizers and it's just dessert. Well, then make sure that you have that good meal before you go. It's going to be a healthy sit-down meal. Sometimes it's possible to have food served, and you could actually request that they hold back maybe the carbohydrates, such as potatoes, and just a little extra vegetables on your plate. Lots of different things like that. But you see, your subconscious mind's thinking perhaps going to a party, and that means drinking and lots of treats. Well, when you're wanting to release excess inventory from your body, really looking at food the way it really is, those sugary beverages and the alcoholic beverages aren't treats for your system. They're actually going to hinder you from what you want to do. Now, the emotion code process is wonderful because it's going to get all those negative trapped emotions out of the way so you can actually focus in on doing what you want to do. Now, the virtual gastric band process. Now, many of you know what a gastric band operation is. It's when they go in and surgeons, they cut open your system and then they go into your stomach and they place a silicone band around your stomach. So you take your stomach that's maybe about this size, your stomach is not that big, and they put a silicone band around it to create almost like a pouch or a golf ball sized pouch. So when a person has had this gastric band surgery, they're instructed to eat very, very slowly, very slowly. And one of the reasons to eat really slowly is because it takes about 20 minutes for your brain to register that you are full and satisfied. So you remember how big our stomach is? Can you imagine eating a big plate of food, eating it all in there so quickly? And then 20 minutes later you go, oh, I'm so full. But maybe in that 20 minutes you've gone off and had another plate of food or some more snacks or a dessert, and it's all done in a short amount of time. So learn from the actual surgery. Eat slowly. And eating slowly is easier to do when you take one bite at a time and chew. One bite and chew. One mouthful and chew. Put your fork down, your spoon down, put your cutlery down, put your food down and chew. And then you'll start to notice those signals of feeling fuller faster. Eating slowly and consciously, putting your cutlery down, your food down, feeling fuller faster. Now, the other tip to the for gastric band people is that there is needing to be a shift in mindset. So looking to work with someone to resolve things from their past, such as issues and relationship issues. So when I see clients in my office and we do the hypnotic virtual gastric band, we're actually placing that silicone band around the stomach, giving the idea that they've got that pouch, that smaller pouch in their stomach. Give them the suggestions of eating slowly and consciously. And feeling they're hungry, go have a little bit of water. But the common thread through the session, because I see people 4 times for that process, is that's session number 1. It works really great. Session number 2, 3, and 4, we're working on relationship issues from the past or maybe current. And when those are actually placed and resolved, placed in the baskets, like the resolved basket, that I feel much better about this, and then eating just becomes so much easier. There's not that little voice in your head saying, stuff something in my mouth and stuff something down. So the emotion code, the hypnotic process, all the different things that we do really help people to release that excess inventory. Dan, I see that you are complete.
Yes, I am. It's been very interesting. And just listening to you, I always love your tips. I have worked with women. I have a weight release program myself, a 4-week one. And I have worked with women that actually have had the 2 of them had the physical gastric band, and it didn't work.
No, it didn't work because the mind had not changed. The programs are still running in the subconscious part of the mind.
Yeah, and I've worked with them on just using the emotion code. And another woman that I was working on recently with weight release, it's just exactly as Helena said, that Helena, will be right back, just a little technical difficulty there. That what happened is we got working on the weight things, the cravings, all of that, but it really was relationships. She was actually in the process of grieving. So it was very very obvious that it was about relationship issues that she had not resolved yet. So they didn't go in the resolve bucket yet, but I've been working with her for, I guess we're on about our fifth session actually, because she really feels so good when we work together, and I really she wants to keep that going. So, even though it might be, they might sign up for 3 or 4 sessions, if someone really, really wants to do the work and they realize they have that insight, then they're ready to do it, right? Because with Helena, the stop smoking lady that she is, she knows anybody just says, well, they'd like to try giving it up, it's not going to work. So it's all about that commitment. And it's the same with the emotion code.
Mhm.
If you're ready to do it and you contact us and you're willing to make the investment, you're going to move forward with it. It's a process. So sometimes it can happen immediately, but generally the weight gain it's about emotions. It's emotional eating, right? And
That's right.
and memories, and I have memories of my mom's shortbread, so maybe you can work on me, Helene. Anyway, let's go into Elaine here, and yeah, it was pretty. The session didn't have a lot of questions to it. It didn't bring a whole lot of other inherited trapped emotions in it, just some of it. So with Elaine, I did check the severity, and as much as she said it's a 7, when I connected with her, oopsie, just got to unconnect. Thank you. I didn't check it off here. So, all right. Okay, good. Whoops. Glad I reminded myself. That's for any of you emotion code practitioners or doing it yourself. Remember, well, if you're doing it yourself, it'll be on yourself, but just remember to get back and
To
let go of that.
disconnect.
Disconnect.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So for me, it came up as a 9. So I worked on that. So the first thing I worked on was releasing the holiday desire for chocolates and sweets. So the emotions that came up, first one was creative insecurity, which I released, feeling lost, whether you're just feeling lost. Remember that these emotions can come up from conception through your whole life, and you can also have the same emotion happen several times in your body, even during one session. So feeling lost, trapped emotion of pride, trapped emotion of jealousy. Now this one was actually inherited from your mother's side. So when we inherit from a parent, we're also, when we do the emotion code, we're also releasing it from the parent as well as for you, Elaine. So I don't know, that may ring a bell. You can let us know if that means anything to you, if your mother had any jealousy tendencies or issues or anything like that. And then the next trapped emotion that came up and I released was vulnerability, feeling very vulnerable in your life. And along with that was guilt. So the subconscious, as Helena was talking about, we don't really know consciously sometimes what that is all about. But I trust in this process because I never question what comes up. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it fits, but it does, and we just let that go. And so I was done with releasing those particular cravings, but then I went on and just asked the question, are there any trapped emotions that are um, there that Elaine has that are around fear of gaining weight over the holidays? And then a whole slew of more emotions came up. So discouragement came up, worry came up, feeling unworthy. Pride came up again. So pride in this case is not the good type of feeling proud about what you've done. It's more too proud to ask for help or too proud to admit that maybe you're not perfect or whatever. It's one of those scenarios. And humiliation came up. I released that. I released confusion. And at that point, I just checked in and it went from that 9 down to a 4. And I just decided, because Lena was still talking, that I would go on and just see what else we could release. So then it was helplessness was released, lack of control, nervousness. And then that got it down to a 0. So Elaine, you can let us know how you're feeling, how things go for you over the next little while. And we'd be interested in hearing about that. Helena, I don't see anything else on my phone. Do you want to just check on yours? Anyone else that we need to say hello to or other comments?
Nope, we're good at this time.
We're good. All right. Excellent.
Good.
All right. So our next week's show, we will be looking for a viewer. It'll be episode 48. Anyone that finds themselves doing excessive holiday drinking. So this
Mm,
isn't, we're not dealing with the disease of alcoholism, but just
no.
we know around the holidays, wherever you go, there's typically a party or people have something. And even though I don't drink very much, I know that I'll probably have a toast or two or something like that. But if you find that you get, you're going to a lot of parties, or you're just, maybe you're feeling a bit lonely. Maybe you're feeling a bit depressed and you're finding that you're getting a bottle of wine and maybe having a happy party, you think, but the next day life's not so happy. So if you're someone that does have excessive holiday drinking, and also if you don't want to be publicly known on the show, then just PM us privately, and we don't even have to say your name or whatever, but you will know whether or not Helene and I have agreed to do a session for
Yes.
you. Yeah. So Helena, how can people get a hold of you?
People can get a hold of me through my website, which is flourishhypnosis.com/emotion code. I also have a YouTube channel for Flourish Hypnosis and myself, Helena Jenikin.
Wonderful. All right. And you can find me at empoweredwomeninbusiness.com/emotion code. I definitely love to post all these videos on my YouTube channel, which is Empowered Women in Business. And yeah, I just noticed that Elaine gave us a message. She says, thanks so much, ladies. I'll let you know how the holidays go. So we appreciate that and understand that, for some people, December, the holidays, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, maybe a loved one has passed, and this is the first time this year that you're spending the holidays without them. Just know that Helena and I are here. If you need to reach out and have a session, we're more than happy. We can do it by phone, Skype, Zoom, whatever. We'd love to be able to help you, because we do know that emotions are high during this month. So we hope to see you next week. Please share. We'd love to have more visitors. And stay tuned for some exciting shows that we have coming up in the new year, January 2019. Unbelievable. But that's it for now. So thanks so much. Helena and I will say goodbye, and we will see you next week.